Here's Richard. He's a carpenter and has been searching for a while for an active role within his community. And here's Juan. He's a social entrepreneur looking for a place to start his business. And here's Val. She likes the sound of the internet, but she hasn't ever been yet. And I don't know whether it's the case for her, but in central London where she lives, many elderly people suffer from isolation or loneliness. And here's a space that hasn't been used for about a decade. I propose to you that each of these problems hold the solution for the next one. But it's a complicated puzzle to weave in together. And I'm here today at the Social Innovation Tournament to share with you the social innovation that makes it work. We call it Small Works. So we reweave how these different entities interact with one another. And you've already met the parties. Val and Rich both live on social housings, so they and their fellow residents are parts of the community in here. Juan, you remember, is an entrepreneur. He's a part of it as well. And then there's the space. So space tends to have owners. In the UK, social housing is owned either by housing associations or local councils, but to us, they're all landlords. So let's make it easy. Right now, I just want to take a minute to talk to you about space. Space on social housing estates, because social housing exists throughout Europe, but it means something different in every country because it's tied up to how social services are otherwise delivered. So in Denmark, where I grew up, there's no great tradition to building community centers. So whenever there's some community action happening on social housing, it's generally run from a shed. It's the exact opposite where I live in the UK, because there is a legal requirement to build a community centre every single time you build social housing, to the effect that they're used as sheds. Because guess what? It takes more than a building to build communities. And to that effect, there are spaces that are underused or just stand empty, and that's the opportunity that we find. So on that note, I'd like to take you back into the machines room of Small Works and share with you how this business model works, which is implicitly tied into how the project is built up. So we start with a landlord who has one of these underutilized spaces, and we begin by refitting that into a co-working space. That's a service the landlord pays for us to do. They also cover that we survey the community for their aspiration, needs, and desires, and from then on, that becomes our true goal for the rest of the project. So that when we find the entrepreneurs to work from the space, we only look for ones that are working on exactly those needs, streams, and desires that were laid out in the survey. This is a crucial point. We don't offer them to work from Small Works because they're really nice people, or even because we think they have the most promising model. We offer them to work from there because their project and at the heart of what they're doing is what's needed in the area, as defined by people who live in the area. So we then strike a deal with them where their rent is paid 1/3 in money to us and 2/3 in services that they give to the community. The recruitment of these enterprises is also a service that the landlord pays for. But this is where that stops, and this is where the ecosystem starts, and this is where it gets juicy. So Juan gets a place to start his business that's lively and is co-working. He also gets to be embedded in his community of users, and a part of his rent is that he has committed to deliver and testing his services with them on a regular basis. The community are, of course, the recipients of these services, and since we started by asking them, it is generally things that they're interested in. Also, they have free access to computers and the internet, and the door is always open, so the small workspaces become meeting spaces for the community as well. Well, and the landlords, they get a liability taken off their books and instead have a buzzing community hub. The landlords that we work with tend to have strategic goals to foster thriving communities, and we help them with that. But even if it wasn't for the social agenda, it's really good business to keep your tenants employed or engaged. So That's how the whole thing works, and that's how we get paid when we deliver value to all of the parties. So after this way, we've got 3 spaces open at the moment. This is a map of London. We've got 40 entrepreneurs working from our 3 spaces, and we've got almost 500 people who've been using our services. And we're not stopping here, of course. We are working with our most prominent client to develop a strategic partnership where they are wanting to commit to opening 6 new spaces within the next 3 years. That was not yet. That was a sneak peek. We are also, we've reached out to other landlords, and we are negotiating with 2 others to begin working with them. And of course, as you can imagine, we're working internally to standardize our processes so that we are ready for this type of scale. So that's how we combine social with innovation. And it's how Val became a bit of a digital whiz. It's also how Richard is now running a community online magazine that he started. And it's how Juan got himself awarded Financial Entrepreneur of the Year. And it's how this space suddenly becomes a buzzing hub in the community. So you might wonder why I do this. Because all we do is that we refit how things fit together that are already there. I do this because I am obsessed with making sense of the world. I cannot bear the thought that any asset gets wasted, be it a human asset, financial, or building. And this is a mindset that I share with the rest of the team. We're a bunch of part-timers and volunteers who combine skills within community engagement, event management, research analysis, design and architecture. And we propose to you today that the big societal problems like youth unemployment or the isolation of the elderly sometimes start with very small solutions. And a prize today would allow me to hire one of these guys on as a project manager, which would give us that little extra thing that we will need to be ready for meeting the market needs when they hit us. And that looks to be soon. It would mean a tremendous deal to us and to Juan, to Val, to Richard, and to Clara. Thank you.